The arena thundered with applause. Sophia Marin stood on stage, every note of her song soaring into the sea of fans who travelled from every corner of the world just to see her. The crowd was a living, breathing entity, their cheers a symphony of love and admiration. It was her world. And yet, beneath the glittering facade, a quiet storm brewed inside her chest. She was a star, bright, untouchable, admired. But stars burn alone in the night sky. Backstage, hidden in the dim glow of monitors and cables, a figure watched, tall, solid and serious, his eyes never blinking, scanning the crowd, scanning her. Jaxon Reed was new to this world of flashing cameras and screaming fans, but not to danger. He was her bodyguard now, assigned to keep her safe from a threat no one else seemed to see. Sophia knew what that meant. Someone was watching her too, someone who didn't belong in the crowd. The airport was sterile and cold. Sophia adjusted the strap of her designer bag, glaring at the man standing beside her. Jaxon. He was all sharp angles and quiet strength, a stark contrast to her world of lights and glam. "I'm Jaxon Reed," he said simply. Sophia folded her arms. "You're the guy assigned to follow me around?" "Yes." She let out a bitter laugh. "I don't need protection." "Doesn't matter what you need," Jaxon replied, voice even but firm. "You have a stalker, someone dangerous." Sophia's lips pressed into a thin line. "I'm not a damsel in distress." Jaxon didn't argue. "You're a target." The next few days blurred in a whirlwind of interviews, photo shoots and fan events. Wherever Sophia went, Jaxon was a silent shadow, watching, waiting, always alert. She hated the way he controlled her movements, the way every step felt monitored. "You're locking me in," she said one afternoon, pacing angrily in her hotel suite. Jaxon sat calmly, watching her with tired eyes. "I'm keeping you safe." Sophia's voice broke. "Safe isn't the same as free." He stood, closing the distance between them. "Sometimes freedom comes after safety." She swallowed hard. Could she believe that? One night, after the chaos of a concert and an exhausting press tour, Sophia sat alone in her dim hotel room, headphones over her ears, the music a shield from the silence. A soft knock interrupted her solitude. Jaxon entered quietly, carrying 2 cups of tea. "You don't have to be alone," he said. For a moment she just stared. Then slowly she accepted the tea. They talked, softly at first, about nothing and everything. Music, family, the dreams that felt so far away. For the first time, the wall between them cracked. The peace shattered the next day. In her dressing room, Sophia found a note, a chilling message from the stalker. "Soon you'll be mine." Panic surged through her veins. Jaxon's presence was immediate. "We're increasing security," he said. "No one gets near you without my say." Sophia's frustration boiled over. "This isn't protection, it's a prison." "I'm sorry you feel that way," Jaxon said quietly. "But I'm not going anywhere." Days passed with tension thick between them, yet in quiet moments, a shared coffee, a glance in passing, something fragile began to grow. Sophia saw glimpses of the man behind the armour, the way he noticed details others missed, the way he quietly supported her when no one else did. And Jaxon began to see past the public image, the glittering star with a guarded heart, yearning for someone who understood. One evening, overwhelmed by the suffocating walls around her, Sophia stepped out onto the hotel balcony, the city lights sprawling below. Jaxon followed silently, standing close but respectful. "You don't know what it's like," she whispered, "to be watched, to be trapped." "I want to understand," he said softly. Before she could respond, a shadow moved just beyond the balcony's edge. Jaxon tensed. Danger was closer than ever. The shadow lunged forward. Jaxon's instincts took over, a swift move, a protective shield. Sophia's heart raced as the attacker was subdued, safe but shaken. Jaxon held her close. The barrier between them momentarily vanished. In the quiet aftermath, Sofia and Jaxon faced the truth between them. Trust had been forged in fire. Maybe, just maybe, this unexpected protector could become more. The morning sun spilled gold through the hotel window, dust motes dancing lazily in its light. Sofia sat cross-legged on the edge of her bed, scrolling through her phone, eyes lingering on a photo from last night's concert. The crowd had been electric. Every smile she gave them a small rebellion against the walls that closed in around her. She didn't notice Jaxon enter quietly until he cleared his throat. "You're up early," he said. She blinked, smiling faintly. "Can't sleep sometimes." He nodded, understanding. "I made coffee." Sofia took the steaming cup from his hands, the warmth seeping into her cold fingers. "Thanks," she whispered. For a moment they just sat together, the silence between them, comfortable, not forced. It was such a simple gesture, coffee, but it felt like a small bridge between two worlds. That morning, Sofia made a decision that seemed insignificant at the time. Instead of taking the usual private elevator, she chose the grand staircase to get to the lobby. Jaxon noticed immediately. "You don't have to do that," he said cautiously. "I want to," Sofia replied. "Sometimes I need to feel like I'm not trapped." As she descended, a young fan waiting below caught her eye. Their smile was shy but bright, and Sofia reached out to wave. That small connection sparked something unexpected, a moment of genuine joy for Sofia, a reminder of why she loved performing despite everything, but it also sent ripples through her security detail. Later, Jaxon learned the fan was on a watch list. It was a risk, but one Sofia was willing to take for a moment of freedom. That night, Sofia found herself in the lounge, staring at her reflection in the darkened window. The face looking back was tired, worn by the constant strain. Jaxon joined her without a word, offering silent company. "I hate that you seem like this," Sofia admitted softly. He looked at her with quiet respect. "I don't just see the star, I see you." Her breath hitched. For the first time, she let herself believe someone could truly understand. Days later, caught in an unexpected downpour, Sofia and Jaxon shared an umbrella, an awkward close proximity that neither had anticipated. "You know," Sofia said, voice low, "I never thought I'd want a bodyguard to be someone I looked forward to seeing." Jackson's jaw tightened. "Neither did I." The rain washed away the barriers between them, leaving only truth. The stalker's notes escalated, more direct, more threatening. Security was ramped up, and Sofia's world shrank again. One evening she lashed out at Jaxon. "I'm suffocating. I don't want this life." Jackson's voice was firm but gentle. "I'm here because I care, not just as your guard, but because I don't want to lose you." Sofia's defences cracked. A quiet dinnering in small hidden cafe. No cameras, no guards, just two people. They shared stories, fears and hopes. Jaxon confessed a piece of his past, the pain that made him so guarded. Sofia reached across the table, taking his hand. "This is the start of something real," she whispered. The stalker was relentless, but Sofia and Jaxon faced the danger together. Every threat drew them closer. Their bond becoming a fortress. They were no longer just protector and protectee, they were partners. Under a star-strewn sky, after a day of relentless stress, Sofia leaned into Jaxon. Their eyes met, hesitant, searching. Slowly he brushed a stray hair from her face. Their lips met in a gentle, tentative kiss, a promise and a beginning. The morning light spilled softly into the hotel suite where Sofia was perched by the window, sipping tea and watching the city wake. It was a rare moment of peace, a fragile bubble in the chaos of her life. Jaxon sat nearby, flipping through a dossier on the latest threats. His gaze flicked occasionally to her, admiration and concern in equal measure. "Still nervous about the event tonight?" he asked quietly. Sofia smiled faintly. "Always." His presence was steady like a lighthouse in the storm. For once, she let herself relax, even if only for a moment. Just as they were about to leave for the gala, the doorbell rang sharply. Jackson's hand instinctively moved toward his concealed weapon. Sofia frowned. Who could that be? Jaxon opened the door to reveal a woman, elegant, serious, holding a badge. "FBI, we need to talk." The news hit like a thunderclap. The stalker was part of a larger network, more dangerous than anyone realized. Their lives had just become infinitely more complicated. The FBI agent's presence meant added scrutiny, protocols and restrictions. Sofia felt the walls closing in tighter. Jaxon struggled too, caught between his duty and the new players in their lives. One evening, Sofia found Jaxon staring at her with something unspoken in his eyes. "Do you trust me?" he asked. Her heart clenched. "With my life." The event was glamorous. Flashing cameras, glittering gowns, the perfect facade. But beneath it all lurked danger. Sofia's hand trembled slightly as she accepted a glass of champagne. Jackson's eyes never laid, scanning the crowd for threats. And then, a figure in a dark suit, moving with purpose towards her, Jaxon intercepted just in time, blocking the stranger's path. A tenser standoff, words exchanged in whispers, threats veiled in civility. Sofia watched, heart pounding. It was a reminder. Their fight wasn't over. After the gala, Sofia treated to her suite, overwhelmed. Jaxon followed, refusing to leave her side. Their emotions spilled over, frustration, fear, relief. They clung to each other, a lifeline amid the chaos. The stalker struck again, a close call that shattered their sense of safety. Sofia broke down, tears flowing freely. Jaxon held her, whispering promises. They were stronger together, but the cost was heavy. Days passed in a blur of security meetings and quiet moments. Sofia and Jaxon found solace in each other's company, shared laughter, gentle touches, whispered hopes. The slow bloom of love amidst the storm. Standing on the rooftop under the stars, Sofia looked at Jaxon. "We'll get through this," she said. He nodded. "Together." Their bond forged in adversity, unbreakable. Therein tapped softly against the hotel window as Sofia stared into the grey sky. Thoughts swirling. The past weeks had changed everything. The threats, the growing feelings, the fragile trust. Jaxon entered quietly, carrying 2 cups of tea. He sat beside her without a word, letting the silence speak. "I never asked you about your past," Sofia said softly. He looked away, voice low. "Some ghosts are best left in the dark." But she reached out, placing a hand over his. "Maybe sharing them can help us face the storm." That evening, by the fireplace in a cozy corner of the hotel lounge, Jaxon opened up. His childhood, the loss that shaped him, the reason she became a protector. Sofia listened, heart aching for the man behind the armor. In turn, she shared her fears, the loneliness of fame, the pressure to be perfect. For the first time, they were equals, 2 souls laying bare. The FBI shared new intel. The stalker was linked to a criminal syndicate targeting high-profile celebrities. Sofia and Jaxon found all eyes in unexpected places. A journalist with a conscience, a retired detective. Together they formed a plan to draw out the threat. Under cover of darkness, Sofia agreed to a risky meet-up, a chance to confront the stalker. Jaxon was relentless in his preparation, but Sofia insisted on facing it together. The tension was electric, every step a heartbeat closer to danger. Theme was stents, fraught with hidden threats. Sofia's courage surprised Evan Jaxon in the final moments the stalker's mask slipped, revealing motive that cut deeper than obsession: betrayal, greed, revenge. The confrontation left Sofia shaken but stronger. Jaxon was by her side, unwavering. Their bond had become unbreakable, forged through fire. With the threat neutralized, Sofia and Jaxon looked ahead. Plans were made, quieter tours, more time together. Love was no longer just a possibility. It was a promise, on a rare morning free from chaos. Sofia and Jaxon walked through a quiet park. The sun warmed their faces, the world feeling suddenly simple. They stopped beneath a blooming tree, hands intertwined. No words were needed. As the first light of dawn broke over the city, Sofia rested her head on Jaxon's shoulder. Their journey had been long and hard, but the future was theirs to write. Together. The soft morning light crept across the hardwood floors of their apartment, golden, forgiving, almost fragile. Sofia stood barefoot in the kitchen, wearing one of Jaxon's t-shirts that hung off her like a memory of the night before. The smell of fresh coffee mingled with the citrusy remnants of her shampoo. She looked peaceful, almost unrecognizable from the pop goddess who'd once ruled stadiums. Jaxon walked in, towel slung over his shoulder, hair damp, fresh from the shower. His eyes found her instantly. "You're up early," he said, voice still heavy with sleep. "I couldn't stay in bed." She looked over her shoulder at him. "My brain's too loud." He smiled faintly. "I know the feeling." They shared coffee in silence, bodies close but souls still waking up. These were the moments Sofia craved more than any encore or glittering stage. With Jaxon, her life was quieter, real, and in that quiet, something far deeper than attraction had taken root. Later that morning, an encrypted email arrived on Jaxon's secure phone, a tip from his FBI contact, Ramsey. Subject: urgent. Not all inside are clean. Watch the team. One of yours isn't who they claim to be. Jaxon's face darkened as he scanned it. His instincts bristled. The team had been tight for months, especially after the last ambush. But if someone on the inside had been compromised... He didn't say anything to Sofia, not yet. She deserved to breathe, even if just for another day. Nina Valdez had been Sofia's personal assistant for almost 3 years, loyal, organized, always 2 steps ahead. She managed the chaos, filtered the press, made sure there was almond milk in the fridge. But lately, something felt off. She was distracted, defensive. And that one time when Jaxon caught her accidentally downloading encrypted files onto her flash drive. She said it was a mistake, a transfer mix-up. Jaxon hadn't pressed further, yet. Now, with Ramsey's warning, he began watching her more closely. At rehearsal that afternoon, Sofia tripped during choreography. Nothing major, a small stumble, but Nina was instantly beside her, asking a little too quickly if she was okay and suggesting perhaps Sofia needed a break from the pressure. Jaxon narrowed his eyes from where he stood at the edge of the room. That comment, the way it had been said, felt planted. Sofia, though, didn't pick up on it. Not yet. "Just clumsy today," she joked. Nina laughed. "It's okay. Maybe you just need a slower pace, fewer people." That last part? Not a joke. That night, as Sofia lay curled beside Jaxon on the couch, her head on his chest, he asked quietly, "If someone close to you betrayed you, would you want to know right away?" She blinked slowly. Of course. Even if it hurt like hell. Yes, especially then. She looked up at him. Why? His lips brushed her temple. Just a question. But her heart skipped. She knew that tone in him. Protective, guarded. Something was coming. 2 days later, Sofia found a folded note on her dressing room table. Simple handwriting, no name, just 5 words. Someone close is selling you. Her blood ran cold. She crumpled the paper and looked around. Cameras? Hidden eyes? She raced to find Jaxon. He read the note, jaw clenched. Where exactly did you find this? On my makeup table. He paced. Security didn't catch anyone unauthorized. That means someone with clearance. Her eyes widened. You think this is real? I think we don't take chances anymore. Jaxon quietly narrowed the scope. Only a handful of people had backstage access. Nina, the stylist, 2 tech leads, and Oni security captain. Her on background checks, scrubbed device logs, and interviewed each of them under the guise of a routine audit. Most passed. Nina, however, had encrypted backups on a secondary devices he hadn't disclosed. When he confronted her, she flinched. Those are just press kits. Sofia always asks for backups. You didn't log the device. Because I was in a rush. 2 Meunier excuses. Too calm under pressure. Sofia sat on the rooftop of their apartment, staring at the city lights. What if the people closest to me have always had a price? Jaxon sat beside her. Then they were never really yours. She whispered, I trusted her. I know. The air was thick between them, not just with betrayal, but with unspoken pain. This wasn't just about safety anymore. It was about the people who claimed to love you while holding knives behind their backs. Jaxon pulled a final string, a bug he'd planted in the green room weeks ago when the first suspicions arose. Late one night, the audio confirmed it. Nina's voice, speaking to an unknown man on speakerphone. Yeah, I copied the access codes. No, she doesn't know. We're keeping things moving. After the next city. Jaxon played it for Sofia. Her hands trembled. That's my voice coach's phone she's using. I know. Sofia's heart cracked in silence. They didn't involve the police yet. Sofia asked to do it herself. She met Nina in the studio early, alone, under the false pretense of changing set lists. Jaxon waited just outside. You lied to me, Sofia said, voice low. You were selling me out. Nina's eyes widened. What? I heard the tape. Silence. Then Nina broke. They threatened my sister. They said if I didn't... You should have come to me, Sofia shouted. I was scared. So was I, Sofia's voice cracked. But I would have protected you. Jaxon entered the room. We're done here, he said coldly. The FBI took over quietly. Nina was escorted out, without cameras, without scandal. Sofia's team was shaken. A few more people left, by choice or by force. But the damage lingered. Sofia stood in the empty rehearsal hall, hands curled into fists. How do I trust anyone after this? She whispered. Jaxon pulled her into his arms. Start with me. The next morning, they packed a small bag and left the city without telling anyone. A cabin in the mountains, no internet, no press, no shadows. For the first time in months, they slept without checking the locks 5 times. Sofia sat at the window in the morning, watching birds flutter between trees. Jaxon kissed the top of her head. Safe? She nodded. But not just safe, she added. Loved. The morning sun filtered through the tall pines surrounding the cabin, casting long golden shafts across the wooden porch. Sofia stepped outside, her breath visible in the chill, and took a deep, slow inhale. The mountain air was clean, crisp, far from the stifling chaos of the city she'd fled. It was almost surreal. No screams, no flashing lights, no danger lurking in every corner. Just quiet. Her fingers traced the rough grain of the railing. For a moment, she felt a sense of peace. But then her mind drifted back to the ambush, how close she'd come to death. The image of betrayal burned fresh behind her eyelids. Someone from her own circle had turned on her. That fact gnawed at her more than the near miss. Jaxon appeared beside her, holding 2 steaming mugs of tea. His eyes, calm but watchful, scanned the tree line. "You're quiet," he said softly, offering her one of the mugs. Sofia accepted it with a small smile. The warmth seeped into her palms. "Just thinking." "About what?" he asked, settling on the steps next to her. She sighed, fingers tightening around the mug. "Do you think it will ever be the same, after everything?" He considered, then replied with a quiet certainty. "Maybe not the same, but better. Different, yes, but better." She glanced at him, searching his face. "How do you know?" Jaxon shrugged, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "Because I'm not ready to give up. And neither are you." For the first time in months, a flicker of hope ignited inside her. Maybe survival wasn't just about hiding. It was about becoming stronger. Despite the fragile calm, the shadows of the past lurked nearby. One evening, as Sofia settled onto the couch with a book, her phone buzzed, piercing the silence. The screen displayed an unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A distorted voice crackled through the line. "You think you're safe. You're not." The line went dead. Sofia's heart slammed against her ribs. She swallowed hard, glancing toward the window where the dark forest pressed in close. Jaxon entered the room, eyebrows raised. "Who was it?" She shook her head. "No idea, but they're still watching." His jaw clenched. "We've got to stay sharp. This isn't over." That night, sleep eluded her. She lay awake, listening to the quiet hum of the cabin, wondering who else had been compromised. How deep did the betrayal go? The next morning, Sofia and Jaxon began to rebuild, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. They spent hours training in the clearing beside the cabin. Jaxon taught her to fight again, to defend herself with precision. They ran drills, grappling, weapon handling, stealth movement. Each drop of sweat was a defiant promise not to fall again. One afternoon, as they sparred beneath the bright sun, Sofia felt her muscles burn, but also awaken. Her confidence grew with every block, every strike. Jaxon watched her carefully, admiration plain in his eyes. "You've come a long way," he said, after a particularly fierce exchange. She smiled, breathless. "Thanks to the best teacher." He laughed. "I'm just making sure you can kick my ass." The lightness between them was rare and precious. Later, as the sun dipped below the peaks, Sofia sat beside Jaxon by the fire. "I'm ready," she said quietly, "to face whatever comes next." He reached out, squeezing her hand. "So am I."
Back in the city, Jaxon worked quietly behind the scenes. He contacted the few allies he trusted, each one vetted thoroughly. There was Amir, a brilliant hacker who owed Jaxon a favor from years ago, Lena, a street-smart informant with connections in the underground, and Marcus, a former agent who had left the agency under suspicious circumstances but remained loyal to Jaxon. They met in dimly lit rooms, planning carefully. Trust was fragile now, every word measured, every move deliberate. Sofia observed the team rebuild from afar, feeling the weight of isolation settling in. Smaller, yes, but tighter. They were harder to infiltrate. That was the point. One evening, she voiced her concern. Is this the price of survival? Keeping everyone at arm's length? Jaxon met her gaze. For now. But one day, we'll break through. We'll rebuild what was lost. She wanted to believe him. More than anything. One night, while Sofia was gathering firewood near the edge of the property, she sensed a movement, a shadow slipping through the trees. Her heart rate spiked. She froze, listening. A figure stepped into the moonlight, someone unfamiliar, eyes glinting with purpose. Sofia raised her voice sharply. Who's there? The stranger didn't answer but raised a hand, showing no weapon. Jaxon appeared moments later, alerted by Sofia's call. Together, they approached cautiously. I'm a courier, the figure said, voice low. I have a message for you. He handed over a sealed envelope, then disappeared into the darkness. Back inside, they broke the seal. Inside were photos, grainy but clear, of their team members meeting with shadowy figures, exchanging envelopes, and in some cases, appearing to negotiate with the enemy. Sofia's stomach churned. This changes everything, she whispered. Jaxon's face hardened. It's deeper than we thought. We're in a war we didn't see coming. The following days were filled with tense meetings and endless planning. Sofia pored over the photos, piecing together a web of deception. Some of our closest allies are compromised, Jaxon said grimly. She looked up from the table, eyes blazing with determination. This isn't just about me anymore, she said. It's about all of us. We can't afford to lose. Jaxon nodded, the firelight flickering in his eyes. Then we fight. Together. For the first time in a long while, Sofia felt the storm inside her transform, from fear to fury. And she was ready. The morning light spilled through cracked blinds in a cramped, dim safe house tucked beneath the city's industrial outskirts. Sofia sat hunched over a battered laptop, eyes scanning lines of encrypted messages intercepted by a mirror. The glow of the screen illuminated a face set in fierce concentration. Jaxon stood behind her, arms crossed, watching. Any luck decrypting the new messages? Sofia's fingers danced across the keyboard. Just about. There's chatter about a meeting tonight, a high-level exchange. Jaxon's brow furrowed. Location? Sofia pointed to the screen. Abandoned subway station at East Hollow. It's risky, but we need to know who's involved. Amir's voice crackled from the adjacent room. We've also picked up chatter about someone on our side selling intel. Sofia's breath caught. The poison was deeper than they thought. We have to find out who, she said firmly. Jaxon nodded. Divide and conquer. Amir will keep tracking signals. Lena and Marcus will infiltrate the meeting tonight. You stay here and prepare. The weight of the task pressed down on Sofia, but she met it head-on. Survival had taught her that trust was fragile and necessary. Lena adjusted her black jacket, pulling the hood low as she slipped into the labyrinth of tunnels beneath East Hollow. Marcus trailed behind, his steps quiet but purposeful. The air was damp and thick with the scent of rust and old oil. The meeting should be just ahead, Marcus whispered, eyes darting to the shadows. Lena nodded. Stay sharp. One wrong move and we're done. They crept closer, the faint hum of voices growing louder. Peering through a cracked metal grate, they glimpsed a circle of figures, some faces familiar, others masked. This is bad, Lena muttered. Some of these people we thought were allies. Marcus's grip tightened on his weapon. We've got to get proof. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from behind. Marcus spun, ready, but a hand clamped down on his shoulder. Relax, a voice hissed. It was Amir slipped in through a side passage. He handed Lena a small camera. Got the feed from my drone overhead. This'll get us what we need. Lena smiled grimly. Let's do this. Back at the safe house, Sofia paced, the tension knotted in her stomach. Every minute stretched painfully long. Suddenly, Jaxon's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, eyes widening. Amir just sent footage from the meeting. You need to see this. Sophia's heart pounded as they watched the screen flicker to life. The images revealed heated negotiations, exchanges of encrypted drives, and faces she trusted, Marcus among them, handing over data. No, Sophia breathed. Marcus. Jaxon's jaw tightened. It can't be. The footage revealed Marcus handing a flash drive to a masked figure before slipping away. The betrayal was stark and brutal. Sophia felt the floor shift beneath her.
Why?
How could he? Jaxon's voice was low, bitter. We'll find out. The room seemed colder, the walls closer. Trust had cracked wide open. They decided to confront Marcus before he disappeared. Jaxon and Sophia drove through the city, the streets slick with rain. Their destination was a rundown warehouse near the docks, a place Marcus often used. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Marcus leaned against a crate, arms crossed, eyes defiant. Sophia, he said, voice steady but eyes cold. I didn't want it to come to this. Why, Marcus? Sophia demanded. Why betray us?
He sighed.
It's not betrayal. It's survival. They had my family. Jaxon stepped forward. We could have helped you. We're a team. Marcus shook his head. You don't understand what they're capable of. I had no choice. The room echoed with silence, broken only by distant thunder. Sophia's voice softened. We can find another way, but not like this. Marcus looked away, conflicted. I'm in too deep. Jaxon's gaze hardened. Then we pull you out. Together. The next days were a whirlwind of planning and surveillance. Amir worked furiously to uncover the true puppet master behind the betrayal. Lena reconnected with old contacts to map the enemy's network. Sophia threw herself into the effort, poring over files, following leads. Every clue unraveled another thread in a web that extended far beyond their initial assumptions. They discovered a secret faction within the agency, corrupt, ruthless, with ambitions that threatened not just them, but the entire city's fragile balance. This isn't just about us anymore, Sophia said during a tense meeting. It's a war for control. Jaxon nodded grimly. We have to be smarter, faster. Plans were made to strike back, to expose the faction before it could bury them all. Under the cover of darkness, Sophia, Jaxon, Lena, and Amir moved toward the faction's secret compound, a heavily fortified skyscraper downtown. Their objective: infiltrate, retrieve critical data, and send a message. The tension was electric as they bypassed security systems, dodged patrols, and hacked into locked servers. Sophia's heart pounded in her chest, every step a test of nerves and skill. In the final room, they found what they'd come for, a trove of files detailing the faction's plans and the names of those involved. Suddenly, alarms blared. Time to move, Jaxon shouted. They raced through the corridors, bullets flying, as they fought their way out. Breathless and battered, they escaped into the night, the city's skyline blazing behind them. The sun was a dying ember, bleeding crimson across the jagged skyline of the city. The orange haze blurred the horizon, swallowing the last light in a slow, inevitable descent into night. On the rooftop of an abandoned warehouse in the industrial district, Sophia stood alone, her silhouette sharp against the fading glow. She was a still figure, every muscle taut, every nerve alive. Her breath came steady and controlled, but beneath her calm exterior, a storm raged. Below, the city was a maze of rusting metal and cracked concrete, a graveyard for forgotten dreams and broken promises. This was where they had fought their last battle, where shadows had betrayed them. Sophia's eyes narrowed, scanning the labyrinthine alleys below. Somewhere in that darkness lurked the traitor who had nearly destroyed them. The one who had sold them out, who had orchestrated the ambush that left Jaxon bleeding in the dirt and their entire team shattered. The betrayal had cut deep, deeper than any bullet wound. Trust, once a shield, now felt like a weapon turned inward. A soft sound behind her made Sophia turn sharply. Jaxon stepped out of the shadows, his face pale but resolute. His left arm was bandaged heavily, the crimson stain visible even through the fabric. He moved with a cautious grace, every step measured. "You've been waiting?" His voice was low, edged with exhaustion. "I needed to make sure it was clear," Sofia replied. "Clear enough for what's coming." Jackson's jaw clenched. "I still can't believe it was one of us." Sofia shook her head. "Sometimes the enemy is closer than you think." They stood in silence for a long moment, two warriors bound by loss and resolve. Finally, Sofia's gaze hardened. "We can't wait any longer. We have to act." Jaxon nodded. The traitor's mistake was thinking we wouldn't find out. A cold wind swept through the rooftop, whipping Sofia's dark hair around her face. She pulled her jacket tighter and turned back toward the edge, eyes sharp as daggers. "Then we hunt." They slipped silently down the fire escape, disappearing into the dark streets below. The city had changed, or perhaps it was they who had changed, seeing the familiar world through a lens cracked by betrayal. Their first stop was the safe house, a nondescript apartment tucked away in a forgotten block. Inside, dim lights flickered over maps, computer screens, and scattered files. The place smelled of stale coffee and cold metal. Sofia's fingers danced over the keyboard, pulling up surveillance footage from the night of the ambush. Jaxon watched, leaning heavily against the wall, the pain from his injury etched across his face, but his eyes burning with fierce determination. "There," Sofia whispered, freezing the video. On the grainy screen, a shadowy figure slipped between two guards, a contact meeting with the enemy commander. The figure's movements were familiar, the way they held themselves, the subtle twitch of their wrist. Jackson's breath hitched. "No way. It can't be." "It is," Sofia said quietly. "Someone we trusted." For hours, they pored over every scrap of data, every intercepted message. Each lead tangled them deeper in a web of lies and half-truths. Friends who might be foes, enemies hiding behind masks of loyalty. At dawn, when the first pale light touched the horizon, Sofia finally broke the silence. "We confront them today," she said, voice cold steel. Jackson's nod was grim. "Time to finish this." Outside, the city was waking, unaware of the storm gathering in its heart. The city's heartbeat was a steady thrum beneath their feet as Sofia and Jaxon moved through shadowed streets toward the suspect's last known location. The morning chill clung to the air, but neither of them felt it. The cold was nothing compared to the weight pressing down on their shoulders, the weight of broken trust and impending confrontation. Sofia's mind replayed every detail from the surveillance footage, every intercepted message. The pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, yet the picture they formed was far from complete. Who could have been so ruthless, so calculating? As they approached an aging brick building on the edge of the old industrial district, Sofia gestured for Jaxon to halt. The place was deserted except for a lone figure lurking near the entrance, someone familiar. Her heart clenched. "Wait," she whispered. Jackson's eyes sharpened. Could be the bait. They moved carefully, closing the distance with silent steps. The figure turned abruptly, revealing herself, Lena, one of their own. A trusted member of the team. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Fear? Defiance?
Guilt?
"Sofia," Lena said, voice trembling but steady. "I didn't want you to find out this way." Jaxon stepped forward, his voice cold. "Why, Lena? Why betray us?" She looked away, biting her lip. "It wasn't supposed to end like this. I was forced." Sofia's eyes narrowed. "Forced by who?" Lena hesitated, then whispered, "They have leverage. Someone I care about." Jackson's fists clenched, his anger barely restrained. "You put us all at risk." Tears welled in Lena's eyes. "I never wanted to hurt you. I swear." The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Sofia took a breath, her mind racing. "We need everything," she said firmly. "Names, locations, plans." Lena nodded, trembling. "Meet me tonight. I'll tell you everything." Without another word, she vanished into the maze of alleys. Sofia and Jaxon exchanged a glance, wary but resolute.
"We're not done yet," Sofia said.
Not by a long shot. The day dragged on in a blur of anticipation and unease. Every sound, every shadow seemed a threat. Their safe house became a war room, screens flashing with encrypted data, maps marked with potential targets. At nightfall, Sofia and Jaxon returned to the rendezvous point, a dilapidated warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Lena was already there, waiting in the dark. Her confession unraveled a tangled web of deception, revealing a secret network within their own ranks, an insidious force orchestrating the attacks, manipulating loyalties, and playing a dangerous game with lives as the stakes. As Lena spoke, the pieces fell into place, but the true enemy remained elusive, hidden in plain sight. "We have to act fast," Sofia said once Lena finished. "Before they strike again." Jaxon nodded grimly. "And this time we finish it." The shadows lengthened around them as the city held its breath, waiting for the storm to break. The warehouse buzzed with urgency. Sofia, Jaxon, and Lena pored over maps spread across a steel table, lit only by a harsh, swinging bulb. Outside, the night cloaked the city in darkness, but inside, every detail was illuminated with stark clarity. The enemy's plan was bold and deadly. "They're targeting the data center," Lena said, voice steady but grave. "If they take it down, we lose everything. All our intel, all our networks, it's the heart of our operation." Jaxon slammed a fist on the table. "We can't let that happen." Sofia nodded, her mind racing. "We need a two-pronged approach. I'll lead a team to intercept the attackers at the data center. Jaxon, you and Lena track down the mastermind. We end this tonight." Lena hesitated. "It's risky." "Riskier to wait," Sofia countered. Minutes later, they split into teams, moving through the city's veins like ghosts. The data center was a fortress surrounded by layers of security. Sofia's team slipped inside with precision, disabling cameras and neutralizing guards silently. The hum of servers echoed through the halls, a heartbeat they needed to protect. Suddenly, alarms blared. The attackers were already inside. Gunfire erupted. Sofia ducked behind a server rack, returning fire. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Meanwhile, Jaxon and Lena tracked encrypted communications, following the digital breadcrumbs that led to a penthouse suite downtown. They moved swiftly, ready for a confrontation. Back at the data center, Sofia's team was pushed back but held their ground. Every second counted. She fought through the chaos, reaching the main server room, where a device was already downloading sensitive data. "No time," she muttered, planting explosives. As the countdown began, she fought off attackers converging on her position. Jaxon and Lena arrived at the penthouse to find the mastermind, an influential figure within their own government, orchestrating the betrayal for power and control. "Why?" Sofia demanded when they confronted him. "Because power is never given, Sofia," he said coldly. "It's taken." A tense standoff ensued. Jaxon and Lena exchanged fire with his guards while Sofia's explosives detonated, crippling the data center. The dust settled. The mastermind was apprehended. The team was battered but victorious. Sofia stood amid the wreckage, breathing hard. "This isn't just about us," she said. "It's about everyone counting on this fight." Jaxon put a hand on her shoulder. "And we'll keep fighting. Together." The city held its breath. In the weeks following the ambush and the mastermind's capture, Sofia's team regrouped, scarred but unbroken. The betrayal had cut deep, but it had also revealed the strength of their unity and the cost of vigilance. Sofia sat in the war room, now transformed into a command center alive with quiet determination. Screens flickered with live feeds, intel updates, and encrypted channels. Outside, dawn was breaking, spilling soft light over the skyline, a fragile promise. She glanced at Jaxon, who was methodically coordinating their next steps, and then at Lena, whose calm resilience had kept them grounded. "The threat isn't over," Sofia said softly. "There are still shadows we haven't chased." Jaxon nodded. "The network is fractured, but it's not broken. They'll try again." Lena's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "We need to rebuild trust, piece by piece." The days blurred into nights as they worked tirelessly to rebuild their fractured operation. Sofia led training, refined security protocols, and patched vulnerabilities the betrayal had exploited. Each success was a small victory against the darkness threatening to engulf them. One evening, a secure channel buzzed to life, an anonymous tip about a hidden cache of weapons and data, possibly linked to the mastermind's remaining allies. Without hesitation, Sofia assembled a strike team. The mission took them deep into abandoned industrial tunnels beneath the city, a labyrinth of rusted pipes, dripping water, and shadows alive with danger. "Stay alert," Sofia whispered, her voice taut with caution. As they moved, the faint echo of footsteps alerted them. Ambush. Gunfire erupted once more. The team responded with practiced precision, fighting through traps and threats. At the core of the tunnels, they discovered the cache, crates of weapons, encrypted drives, and a chilling message. This is only the beginning. Back on the surface, Sofia looked to her team, determination blazing in her eyes. "We're not just fighting to survive," she said. "We're fighting to protect the future." Jaxon added, "No matter the cost." Lena smiled faintly. Together. In the final moments, the team stood united, battle-hardened, resolute, ready for whatever came next. The city was far from safe, but with them guarding its heart, hope burned brighter.